Alright, what is going on, guys? My name is Leon Master. Welcome back to another Overwatch League video, and today I am bringing guys another top 10 video, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 flex sports to look out for next season of the Overwatch League. And keep this in mind, the title is actually very important. It is to look out for. I'm not listing the top 10 flex sports in the league. I'm listing flex sports that we need to be watching next season, see if they improved, or seeing how they will be different next season, or if they'll be worse maybe potentially. That's what I'm talking about here. And before we go into the list, there's going to be no shock players, no Twilight, no Violet, because I think we all know they're always going to be the obvious number one, the obvious S tiers and tier lists. We already know that, so I'm going to make it a little bit interesting, a little bit more spicy with no shock players in this list, so it's a little bit more different and nice. So let's go ahead and start off with the number 10 on my list. And number 10 coming into next season that we need to be looking out for is the Hangzhou Sparks MCD. With a player we've been looking out for many years now in the Overwatch contender scene on like Element Mystic and teams with all that around him, you know, coming up with Sparkle and XZ and his teammates around him that he had before Season 3 started. We all thought he was going to come in Season 3, but did not end up being the case. So now it's his time to come through in the Overwatch League and playing against his fellow teammates, or former, I should say, teammates, with Sparkle and all those other teammates that were around him. So I love to see how MCD comes in. He already looks somewhat solid, I would say, in the most recent tournament he played in with the Spark. He didn't look top tier. He didn't look awful, but he did look solid, and I'm betting he's going to look a lot more better and improved a lot coming into next season, working with the Spark for a hot minute now, scrimming and learning around the flex sports he has around him, looking at, you know, replay viewer and just VOD reviewing all around. So I'm excited to see how MCD turns out next season. I do not have high hopes though, because as we went off in contenders, he was not actually the top flex sport in contenders when he got signed to the Spark. He's more of a solid, more in the bottom of a conversations now, but he was still someone solid. We know he has potential, especially on the Element Mystic squad that he had back in the past before Season 3 started. He has potential, and I definitely think he deserves to be looked out for next season. Now it's number 9. It is the Washington Justice Bebe, another player that was formerly on the Spark, and I'm excited to see how Bebe turns out. We already saw him in the open scrim against the Seoul Dynasty, and he looked the same still, but there was improvement. You know, what we saw of Closer in that tournament, Closer looked top tier, probably maybe end up going to be his best season in the Overwatch League yet. Obviously, he was on the London Spitfire, on the Fuel, and now on the Justice. Closer is looking really good, really improved all around, and I'm expecting to see that with Bebe as well. He was more of a solid, wasn't that talked a lot about last year when it came to flex sports and the Spark, and just 2 years in general, and so I'm expected to see some sort of improvement, something all around of his Zen play, his Ana play, and maybe something else with his Bat play. Coming into the next season with the Washington Justice, he will probably automatically look a little bit better because he has Mag, Fury, Decay, and even Assassin on his team now. When you just have a good team around you, you're going to look good, and I definitely think that's going to be a big case with Bebe. You know, being coached with this team that he's around and also the players he's around with like Decay and Mag, I think we're going to see some massive improvement with Bebe, but there's going to be a lot of improvement when it comes to next season, so we got to keep an eye out for that. Now to number 8, a player everyone's been hyped up about. I've been seeing all the hype as well. Everyone's excited, and I instantly became super hyped about this player with the most recent Steel Series tournament, and that is Khan. Khan looked like one of the best flex sports already from that tournament. Now, obviously, that was not a lot to go off of, but it's maybe just my high hopes, a lot of hype of Khan. He looked top tier when he came to his BAP play, and that's mostly all we saw. But if that's all we've seen of BAP so far, we already know BAP's going to be hardcore meta with Lucio and maybe Zen for a hot minute. So this is definitely a huge first impression for me when it came to Khan. I definitely think he will be better on the Ana and the Zen as well. We've already heard a lot of good things when it comes to those heroes as well. That was mostly the main heroes we saw in tryouts, I'm guessing as well. That was around the meta. BAP wasn't fully around the meta back then. He probably was occasionally, but Zen was in it, Ana was in it mainly, and we heard good things, nothing but good things when it came to Khan. Even in his contenders, he looked solid, and now he's going to be in the Overwatch League. Once again, like I said, of MCD, learning with the people around him and improving with his team. Now, obviously, he's going to be on a bad team, so people will probably automatically say he's going to be bad, but no, I think he's going to be probably the best player on the Paris Eternal and probably be one of the better parts in that team. And if this team ever does a full revamp again, Khan's probably going to stay in the Overwatch League and go to a different team, and I hope that does happen. He looked good already in the tournament, and I have high hopes for him. Now to number 7. I know some people think this is going to be low, but I'm going to put Myeonbong here. We already know how good Myeonbong is. One of the better flex sports last season. Really good on the Ana. Ana is probably his best hero that was in last season. Now he's going to be on this new Boston Uprising squad that's going to make him hopefully look better. with the coaching, make Myeonbong better on the Zen, on the BAP, and just be 10 times better than he was last year, because I'm hoping we see that. We all know that this guy could be a star of a Flexport player, up there with Alarm, up there with Violet. We know it can happen. He just had a lot of limited resources last year on the Boston Uprising. This team has taken many steps in the right direction with the new players around him, like Valentine, Stan One, and also Faith. Faith is a big one. Faith is a huge upgrade over Halo. Myeonbong had to work around Halo with his support duo, and we already know Halo and Myeonbong, they didn't really have a good play style together. Now Faith's coming in, and I think they will gel really well together with their support play, and I'm excited to see how this comes through. I think Myeonbong will look automatically better next year, but hopefully we see some more improvement with him and also look even closer to the Alarm and Violet level. Now on to number 6, I wrote down Iris. This is basically going to be a new year, a rookie year almost, it feels like, for Iris. Obviously, he was there last year. He got a couple maps in and did not look the best, but that's expected when you're just thrown into a game with no scrim time, it looked like. So I'm expecting Iris to look way better with this new team, also with Kai, with Pelican, with those new additions, and I think that is perfect fit for Iris. Iris is a very aggressive Flexport player, and we already know that from Kai and Pelican. And Iris, Pelican, and Kai are going to fit really well together. They're all very aggressive players. Also with Masa on there, this team's going to be very aggressive. I think it's going to be a lot based off of Iris. If you have seen his gameplay streams, his Contenders days, this guy's very aggressive, very bloodthirsty of a Flexport player from what we've seen with his BAP. His Zen especially. His Ana is really good. This guy has a lot of potential to be near the Violet and Alarm level, just being on the Lana Rain. Now, obviously, going to have some limited resources. Going to hold him back a little bit being on this team, because this team may not be insanely good and may not be insanely bad. Maybe in the middle of a team, and I think we're going to see those kind of performances with Iris, unfortunately. But if he's going to pull Myeonbong and be a insane Flexport player with his limited resources like Myeonbong was on the Boston Uprising, I'm excited to see it. Something we should be looking out for next year, because Iris is going to bring a lot to the Flexport role on the Atlanta Reign. Now on to number 5. I know a lot of people will not like this one, but if you watched the tournament, you know how hyped I am about Kariv once again. And number 5, yes, is going to be Kariv. If you watch the tournament with the Guangzhou Charge and all of that, with the Dallas Fuel, Seoul Dynasty, Kariv looked 10 times better than what he was on the Toronto Defiant. It was the old LA Valiant days once again. He looked like that bloodthirsty Flexport player, insanely aggressive on all the roles, got insane sleeps, insane damage, really good nades, and his team really worked around Kariv, and we saw that on the tournament. And Kariv, just from that little bit of scrim time you could tell, and just that tiny tournament, is just the beginning of the Guangzhou Charge with just Kariv on this roster. So that's one of the main things I really got to talk about with Kariv. We already seen his improvement just from going to Toronto to Charge, and there's a massive improvement already, and just imagine what he's going to play like full-time, full scrimming in 1 month. We're almost there at the Overwatch League. Imagine what he will be doing when Karib's on this team full-time and going against these APAC teams around him, and maybe he'll look 10 times better than what he was on Toronto, and maybe even look better on LA Valiant. But those are some very hard days to compete against, I shall say. Now to number 4, I really wish I could rank this guy higher, but based off the information we have so far, I don't know if he's going to actually start, but number 4 is going to be Fielder. I have Fielder this low. I wish I could put him 3, maybe 2, but the fact Fielder is 4, maybe not higher, some people would like, is because with the information we have so far is that Rappel is actually going to be starting over Fielder from the tournament that we've seen, so don't know just yet when it comes to Fielder and Rappel. I'm hoping we get to see Fielder because he's going to be off of ping. We all know how good this guy was on ping, playing for the Paris Eternal, a massive playmaker, a Flexport player we saw with his Ana and his Zen last year on the Paris Eternal, got game-changing sleeps, even against the field when he was on the Paris Eternal, always had the massive game-winning sleeps he had in the game on the Paris Eternal, and Fielder doing that with no ping is just going to be a game changer. He had some of the highest ping in the game, in the lobby, and now he's going to be on the Dallas Fuel, and he's already at the facility. If you guys have not seen, he is in the facilities playing around these players that he always wanted to play with on the Paris Eternal and even in the past as well. So Fielder could look way better this year for the Dallas Fuel and also the Overwatch League, and I'm hoping to see that. Now to number 3, it is going to be Creative. If you guys have not seen the tournament with the Seoul Dynasty, the Dallas Fuel, the Charge, all of that, Creative looked like he could potentially be a top 3 Flexport player coming into next year from just those performances on the Seoul Dynasty in that tournament. He looked completely different, fully improved, more aggressive, more of a bloodthirsty Zen player and Ana player all around. Creative has massively improved since we've seen him on the Seoul Dynasty back in Season 3 at the Grand Finals and all that. He has improved somehow because he was already good. He's improved even more for this next year. and I'm very excited to see what he does this year. Basically being a whole new player, it feels like he's improved. I promise you, if you guys have not seen the tournament, he's improved a lot and he's looking good. Now on to number 2. It is Shu on the LA Gladiators. Him making a change to the Los Angeles Gladiators, changing regions. He was in the APAC region. Now he's coming to the NA region, and this is his time to fully shine, it feels like. He's going against more flex support players, going against more teams to prove himself, like the Shock, the Dallas Fuel, and more teams around that. He's going to have a lot of time to prove himself. We already know he's top tier, and especially coming to the LA Gladiators, this guy has potential to be the best flex support, if not in the conversation for it, working around these players around him like Moth, Muse, Space, and hopefully the coaching staff is going to help this team out even more. I'm excited to see what Shu does. We already know how insanely aggressive a player he is, a playmaker on top of that with his bat play, his on play, and even his Zen play. This guy's something special, and we need to be watching out for him and the LA Gladiators. Now to number 1. This was probably going to be an obvious one for some people if there was going to be no Shock players. It is Alarm, but I think it's a reasonable number 1. We already know how insane this guy was back last year, but here's the changes with Alarm. He's going to the APAC region, which is very stacked. And also, the team changes with Mono in there, 9K being the head coach. We could almost see a fully different Alarm. As we've seen last year, Alarm was very, very aggressive of a player with Funny Astro, with Sato, with the players that was on that team last year. This team is now almost feels like a fully changed just from the main tank signing and also the coaching signing, which is massive changes. Mono, who's not super aggressive a player, what we have seen in the past and the info we have, but could be aggressive, if not more aggressive than Sato with the coaching. There could be a whole different Alarm we're looking at here. We could be more passive, working with Mono, and we could see something completely new with him and be even better. And now he could easily change his playstyle mid-game, aggressive or passive, with this team he has around him. So I'm excited to see what Alarm does, and also the competition he has around him. This competition is going to be way more stacked now, and I'm excited to see what he does. Now that's going to be it for the top 10 flex sports we need to be looking out for next season. Keep this in mind, it's not a full ranking, like a tier list kind of thing. This is people we need to be looking out for and my hyped level of these players that we need to be looking out for. Now, I do want to try and do this for every role in the Overwatch League. I don't know just yet, but I do want to do that. If you guys want to stay more in tune with Overwatch League news and Overwatch League stuff in general, don't forget to subscribe down below. Also, don't forget to join my Discord down below as well. And don't forget to follow my Twitter and my Twitch. And don't forget to hit that bell. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.